ॐ श्री गणेशाय नमः। ॐ श्री सरस्वत्यै नमः। ॐ श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः। ॐ समस्तजनकल्याणे निरतं करुणामयं नमामि चिन्मयं देवं सद्गुरुं ब्रह्मविद्वरम्। ॐ मूकं करोति वाचालं पङ्गुं लङ्घयते गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे परमानन्दमाधवम्। ॐ पार्थाय प्रतिबोधितां भगवता नारायणेन स्वयं व्यासेन ग्रथितां पुराणमुनिना मध्ये महाभारतम् अद्वैतामृतवर्षिणीं भगवतीम् अष्टादशाध्यायिनीम् अम्ब त्वामनुसन्दधामि भगवद्गीते भवद्वेषिणी। Hari Om. We'll chant the name of the Lord for a minute, and then we'll start. Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama. 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 Sharanam Mama. Sharanam Mama. Sharanam Mama. Sharanam Mama. बोलिए राधावर श्री कृष्णचंद्र भगवान की, श्री सद्गुरुनाथ महाराज की जय। The very first verse of the Bhagavad Gita, which is spoken by Dhritarashtra, the blind king, who is not just physically unable to see things, but is blindly attached to his son. And because of that kind of attachment, although he knows what is right, what is wrong, he knows his sons have been unjust, he has not been able to take the right stand in life. He has not been able to decide correctly. He has not been able to stand by his own beliefs and convictions. In this manner, we do see ourselves here. We also have certain beliefs. We also have certain convictions also. We're convinced about certain things. But somehow we tell ourselves, I want to do this, I so want to do this, but I'm not able to do it. As though somebody has bound us, somebody is restricting us as though, but actually there's no one else other than myself. So it is our own attachments because of which we are not able to put our foot down, say no to our own mind. We are not able to do that. And this is the Dhritarashtra condition. Completely blind. Here Puja Gurudev very beautifully gives a symbolic meaning also. The Mahabharata war, the setting for the Bhagavad Gita. He says on one side are these 100 brothers, Kauravas, and led by their eldest brother, Duryodhana, have already taken away all the entire kingdom, even that which the Pandavas deserve are the legal heirs, but still they took it away. And now the situation of war within the family has risen, and because this is such a great family, the other kingdoms also in large numbers have joined this war. But where did this Kauravas come from? These 100 Kauravas are the sons of Dhritarashtra and Gandhari. Dhritarashtra, the blind king, and Gandhari, who was not blind by birth, but she accepted to be blind. She tied a cloth on her eyes and said, if my husband cannot see, I shall also not see. From the transactional standpoint, from the family value standpoint, it looks very good, but from the symbolic standpoint, there is something very significant in this, which Puja Gurudev brings out and says, this Dhritarashtra stands for the mind. Mind is a seat of emotions. And naturally, when we have very high emotions, Gurudev says that emotions are not bad, but emotionalism becomes unhealthy. When we get carried away by our emotions, when we start making decisions based on our emotions, then it is dangerous. So some small decisions we may not even be bothered about them, but if that is a habit, then eventually even the significant decisions we start making through emotions. Our own likes and dislikes. I like this, therefore I will choose to be in favor of this. I don't like this, therefore I choose against this. So blind, do not understand, there is no discrimination. It is just what I like based on my emotion. So if I am attached to something, whatever that person or that thing, whatever happens, that is right. Now we have this Gita chanting competitions. In India, it's once in a year, one chapter is taken up. I don't know if it happens here. Does it take place here? Yeah, here also we have. So Puja Gurudev started this many years ago, that at least in the competitive spirit, we will be able to learn the Gita. So this Gita chanting competition, whenever this competition used to happen, in the final competition, there'll be like children one after the other being called, chant a few shlokas, and then the judges mark. And then, of course, now there will be 100 students who are chanting in the finals. Now, prizes will be won by just 5 or 6 people. Not everybody cannot win prizes, naturally. So the judges and judging the children is very difficult. Because all children, especially the younger ones, they sound so sweet. We feel that what marks to cut from there, they are so sweet and they are chanting nothing but Bhagavad Gita. So it's very difficult, but still the judges do their job and the result is announced. And when the result is announced, the children are okay with it. They all cheer for the winners and all, and they congratulate each other, they hug each other. Very good, you got next time, see, I'm going to win. So the children are very happy among themselves. But it is the parents usually sitting behind the children. How is it possible? My child, how can my child not win? And then go to the organizers and say, oh, my son chanted better than that girl who got the first prize. And he did not get even a consolation. What is this? This is not done. You are not organizing properly. Your judges are wrong. Why? Why do we feel that my son chanted better than that prize winner? Because my son. That's the only reason. My son cannot make any mistakes. Because my son. So this is the Dhritarashtra problem. Extreme attachment. And therefore, my child can never make mistakes. My child was the best. So this blindness which Dhritarashtra had was because of that extreme attachment to Duryodhan, and therefore he agreed to everything that he said. We may say we don't do such things and all, but if we think about it, whoever we like, do we see their limitations, their shortcomings? Do we even notice? Never. But some people whom we don't like, even if there are no apparent shortcomings, we will suddenly, oh, this person, no, they don't smile enough. They are not really very friendly. They don't smile enough. Somewhere, some problem we will bring out and say, no, these people are bad. Why? Because we don't like. It is only our like and dislike. It is nothing to do with the person. It's all us. This is a Dhritarashtra type of mind. So Gurudev says this mind is in general blind like Dhritarashtra. But the mind, when gets married to the intellect, the buddhi, the ability to discriminate, the ability to understand, the faculty of subtle thinking, then such a mind can get support to eventually get out of that attachment and make the right decision, to be able to see things in the right perspective. There is a possibility. A blind king, a blind man, when he marries a lady who can see, then he gets some support. But if that lady also after marriage says, if my husband can't see, I will also not see. Type. So the buddhi has accepted blindness, refused to see things as they are, refused to be objective. Then what happens? To such, in such a mind and intellect wedding, 100 negative tendencies are born. That is 100 Kauravas. And if we see the other side, this Pandu. Now this Pandu, he from birth itself he was very pale and weak. But he was very courageous, valorous. But he was very pale. And he had some weaknesses also. He committed some mistake also. He was cursed also at some point. All those things happened. So he had some weaknesses. Now here also the man represents the mind and the woman represents the intellect. So here what kind of mind? A mind which has some weaknesses. Okay, but is righteous. Wants to do as much as possible for the society and gets married to none other than Kunti. The word Kunti means sharp. So what kind of intellect? A sharp intellect. So the mind may have some weaknesses. It's okay. But when wedded to a healthy, sharp intellect, what happens? This kind of a wedlock gives rise to the five great, strong, righteous Pandavas. The positivities, the strength that we have. That's what is born out of this wedlock. So here, the Kauravas represent the negativities, all that which drags us away from reaching our goal. And Pandavas represent those positive forces which the resources, in the language of modern psychology, they are called as resources. The resources, the support of which helps us to move towards our goal, succeed in life. So even if they are just handful of them, Gurudev says the story of Mahabharat gives us the hope that even if the positive forces are very few, just five, and the negativities seem to be 100 standing against them, still the positive forces can win. Success is possible in spite of the enemy lines being larger in number. Doesn't matter. Provided, one, the Lord is with us, and second, we listen to what the Lord says and follow His advice. That is very important. Then victory is ours, success is ours. So, in our subjective, our own individual life also, in this journey within, we understand that our mind may have some weaknesses, maybe possible, but the intellect has to take charge. And that is why in this entire picturization of Bhagavad Gita, the entire instruction, the teaching of the Bhagavad Gita is happening in the chariot. That whole image is going to come up in the first chapter itself. And the Upanishads very beautifully explain that, saying the charioteer is the intellect. So this intellect has to take charge, and that intellect has to be as sharp as Kunti, as pure as Kunti, as austere as Kunti. And that's when we will be able to reach success. Even if we feel that the forces that deter us are stronger and larger, even then we will reach our destination. So this first verse of the first chapter of the Gita, here Dhritarashtra makes a distinction between these two, saying on one side, my children are there, and on the other side, my brother Pandu's children are there. Mamakaha Pandavaha. So from his perspective, there is mine and not mine. There's this division. And it is said, a narrow vision is divisive. A broad vision is expansive, and a divine vision is all inclusive. So here we get a glimpse of what is a narrow vision, that is Dhritarashtra's vision, where these are mine, division. So naturally, if something happened to the Pandavas, Dhritarashtra was, okay. And they were Pandavas. But Mamaka, oh, my sons. If anything happens to them, but it is the whole same family. And anything happens to any family member, actually it is a loss of the family. But we don't realize this because of our attachments. How many times we read in the newspapers about some riots or some terrorist activity, some kind of attack, some bombs, this, that. So many things we read which are not very, happy news. A lot of things happen. We read or sometimes we listen, we watch, war happening, people, okay, this is what happened, okay. You may feel saddened for a few seconds, then over. That's left there itself. But if we get to know that in that same incident, someone known to me or some relative of mine was also involved, what happens? That same piece of news, which did not affect me much, I just turned the page and kept reading further. And we keep complaining, oh, these days, there's newspapers also everywhere, and anything we watch the news also, all sorts of things, this violence is that, or so much is going on, so bad, all sad news, bad news. What is this? What's happening to this world? We may complain, but we just say, what else is there? What else is there? What else is there? And over. Okay. But when mine is involved there, then what happens? Then will I look at, okay, what else is there? I get stuck there itself. Oh, so to understand Dhritarashtra, we are trying to understand and recognize him within us. That Dhritarashtra also, Mahamakaha Pandavaha, as soon as you say, the Pandavas don't belong to me, they are not mine. Because mine I have already separately indicated. So they are not mine. So whatever happens to them, I don't care. Although these words he has not spoken, he has just said that, okay, my children and Pandu's children, what did they do there? That was his question. And it was like kind of a very normal question. But then this is what is, the undercurrent of thoughts happening. To identify, to recognize this kind of, this mindset of Dhritarashtra, and that too within ourselves, is very, very important. Only then we will be able to proceed further with benefit by the Gita. The very beginning, Duryodhan was what he was because of Dhritarashtra. There is an incident in Mahabharata, many of us may not know. I think when Duryodhan was about to be born or soon after he was born, Dhritarashtra's well-wisher, his own half-brother, was Vidura. He was the prime minister, the chief counselor of the kingdom. He went up to Dhritarashtra and he said, look, this child is going to bring about the entire destruction of this entire family, entire clan. This child is just born. Vidura was very, very knowledgeable. So he went up to his own brother and he said, this one child is going to bring about the entire annihilation of the full family. He is going to bring. So he said, what do you suggest? What do you want to say? He said, kill him. Vidura's advice. Because in those days, what was more important was the entire country, the safety and the well-being of the totality was given more importance than a family, even if the family was the king's family. He advised that. So Dhritarashtra knew very well that what his brother was. He knew Vidura can never be wrong. He knew it very well. But he could not take any decision. We are not saying, okay, no, he should have killed, okay, but at least he could have disciplined him. Because he knew that there is a potential of destruction in this first child of mine, but no disciplining. So Duryodhan became what he was also because of Dhritarashtra. Very important thing that if we see any such kind of weakness, wickedness, uh, it has a lot of responsibility of the parents also. We cannot disown that responsibility. It is important. And to some extent, enforcement is required also. So, this Mamakaha Pandavaha. This, from Dhritarashtra's standpoint, there was divisive vision. But from the standpoint of the onlooker, us who are studying the Bhagavad Gita, when we see this, there is distinct characteristics between these two. All the negative forces and the positive forces, when they came face to face, what happened? Is this not our question also in our own lives? What happens? We don't have to ask anybody else. We know most often within us the Kauravas win. We know it very well. The positive forces seem to be helpless within us. We don't know how to strengthen our strengths and weaken our weaknesses. We don't know how to do that. And that's what Gita teaches us. So this question of Dhritarashtra is a very, very relevant question for us in our own individual lives. Although these words are spoken by Dhritarashtra, still it has a lot of significance for us. Mamakaha Pandavaschaiva Kim Akurvata. What did they do? Having gathered on the battlefield of Kurukshetra, the Holy Land, what did they do? What happened? Who is victorious? So there, even if handful of Pandavas were there, they seemed to be victorious. But till the very end, nothing could be concluded, because wars are like that. One day somebody wins and the next day someone else seems to be winning. So we can't say anything till the very end. So Mamakaha Pandavaschaiva Kimakurvata Sanjaya. What did they do? Now another very interesting aspect, the last aspect we'll see and then we'll move on. The very first word, whenever we speak, a good speech says that first you tell whatever you have to say in a nutshell, briefly. Then you elaborate upon it. And then at the end, conclude, summarize it and conclude. So that is the whole, that's a good speech. Gurudev used to say, first tell them what you're going to tell them. Then second, tell them. Then third, tell them what you told them. So this is what is a good speech. So essentially, the beginning and the end is actually considered to be more or less the message of any talk, discourse or book, anything. So here Bhagavad Gita also. We saw how the first quarter of the verse itself gave the entire message of the Gita. Here, the first and the last word of the Gita, the first word starts with dharma. And the last word of the last verse of the Gita, the 18th chapter, 78th verse, the last word is Yatra Yogeshwarah Krishna, Yatra Partho Dhanurdharaha, Tatra Shrihi Vijayah Bhutihi, Dhruva Nitihi Matihi Mama. So the last word of Gita is Mama. The first word is Dharma. Mama means mine. So the message of Gita, based on the first and the last word, is Mama Dharma, my Dharma. Now we have already seen what does Dharma mean. So at various levels. The first, very transactional level, is duty. So my duty. In any situation, what is my duty? But if we think very interestingly, and that's what Kshetri Dharmam Kuru, we had seen that. So any duty, any responsibility is determined by the role one plays. And that is why whenever we join any organization, etc., we are educated about our roles and responsibilities. So it's not just responsibilities. Whose responsibility? The one who is playing a role. So what is that role? The role means in relation to the organization, in relation to my co-workers, in relation to my family, in relation to my neighborhood, in relation to the environment, in relation to God, in relation to people around me, all these, in relation to all these things, I have roles, different roles. My identity is different. And based on that role or those identities, I have certain responsibilities. For the parents, I may be a son or a daughter. So, as a son or a daughter, I have some responsibilities, some duties towards my parents. I may be a brother or a sister. So, towards my siblings, as a brother or sister, I have duties towards them, my responsibilities. As a citizen, I have responsibilities. So I have roles, and associated with them are the responsibilities. Even in various corporations, office setups, etc., we have what is called a job description. And in the job description also, a person on this designation is supposed to be doing these things. The scope of work is spelled out. So for whom? A person who is playing this role. So there is a definition that this role and responsibility. So Mama Dharma, if it is translated just merely as duties, good enough. But the duty is based on the role. So there has to be clarity on the role. That role is also called Dharma. So Mama Dharma means I have to have role clarity. So not just clarity about my actions, but clarity about my identity also. And what kind of identity? Identity first at the level of the world. Relationships, I should have clarity. Transactional identity, I should have clarity. Who am I? A person, let us say a person may be a politician. Gurudev gives this very beautiful example. Now, a policeman, in his uniform and all, people are all very, look at him with great respect. Anybody who a wrongdoer looks at him with fear. But that same policeman, when he comes home, takes off his uniform and gets into his pajamas Then there is his wife, his child. Do they look at him with that respect and fear? He, in turn, is afraid of them. That same policeman who is a terror in that whole area, Gurudev very beautifully describes this. In his home, he is terrified. Oh, suddenly my son will come out from somewhere and jump on me. My wife, I don't know what she will say, what mood she is in now. I don't know. Same. Whatever he does outside in the police station, he should not do that at home. There he may be the boss. Here he has to, please tell me what I'm supposed to do next. Wait for orders. There he can give orders. Here he can't give. He can't afford to give orders. So the point is that based on each role, there are responsibilities, and playing those roles, I have to fulfill those responsibilities. And that is what this Bhagavad Gita teaches us. Now, this is a transactional role. So that also I need clarity about. That is why sometimes we say, I am not talking as your boss, I am talking to you as your friend. Role changed. That's what sometimes in parenting this problem happens. We tell the child, see, I am your friend only. Don't worry. Now, we have only told the child that now we are friends. And then the child comes and sits next to us. Okay. Yes, dude. What's up? You don't talk like that to your parent, You should have some respect. But you just said friends, and friends can say do these things. He'll come and slap on our back. Hey, what are you doing? Do you do that to your parents? But then you only said your friend's role, clarity. And based on that responsibility. So, transactional role clarity is important. But other than that, the second thing is that transactional role? Because there are multiple roles I play. I'm a son or a daughter, I'm a brother or a sister, I'm a friend, I'm a father or a mother, I'm a neighbor, I'm a citizen. So many different roles we play. And then one day we think of this, which is me. These are all different roles I'm playing. But is there something that is me among these? And then we say, when I become the other, this is gone. So when that policeman comes into being, the troubled father is gone. Now he is the policeman. Now that strong policeman, when he comes home, that policeman has gone, and now he has become the father. So these roles seem to be, cancelling each other. Sometimes they have some overlaps also. But am I one of these? Am I all of these? Or am I none of these? What is my true identity? That is also called dharma. So, mama dharma includes the clear understanding of what are my duties and, of course, performing them. Then, when we talk of duties, then there are roles, the transactional identities. That clarity also is mama dharma. And ultimately, what is my true identity? Which is in and through all these roles. That one true identity. Because I cannot be multiple. I have to be one. Who is that one? That one identity. That is also called mama dharma. We should not say that is also called. That is the meaning of Mama Dharma, and these are all extra meanings. But Gita takes us to that also. So the first word dharma, last word mama, so Mama Dharma, my dharma. So this Bhagavad Gita, with the very first and last word, or the first quarter of the first verse, or just the first verse, has given us an idea about the journey ahead. So Dhritarashtra has requested, or we say commanded, Sanjaya to give him a detailed account of whatever has been transpiring in the battlefield, the Kurukshetra battlefield. And now Sanjaya is a companion, a friend, a one who understands Dhritarashtra and his mind very well. In Bhagavad Gita, we also learn, other than Mama Dharma, we also learn the art of communication, the choice of words. That's also a very important thing. Whether in the field of education or in general, in our day-to-day transactions, communication is very, very important. And Bhagavad Gita teaches us that. And one of the example we will find in Sanjaya. How to communicate. Of course, Bhagavan Shri Krishna's words also we will find masterpieces in the art of communication. But even in Sanjaya. And when somebody who is troubled like Dhritarashtra is speaking, to understand what he is going through. The very words Mamakav Mandavaha, Sanjay understood this what is going on in his mind. So with that understanding, a well-wisher, not just of the king, not just of his friend, but a well-wisher of his own friend, the king, and the entire land. How a well-wisher responds to such a question. And we have to remember, Dhritarashtra has never seen anything. He's never seen. He's a blind king. He has knowledge. He has understanding. He was intelligent. Maybe he has touched a few things and maybe understood. But description has to be as clear as possible. Communication has to be with the right words for a blind person to understand. And here the blindness we are talking about is not just the physical limitation. A person who is blind in attachment has to understand. So who is blind in attachment? Not just Dhritarashtra who was there so many years ago. For us. So Sanjaya teaches us how to deal with our mind which is all the time lost in attachment. Such a beautiful way of responding to Dhritarashtra. So we have already read the first verse. We will read it again today and then we will read the second verse also. So please repeat. अथ प्रथमोऽध्यायः धृतराष्ट्र उवाच धर्मक्षेत्रे कुरुक्षेत्रे समवेतायुयुत्सवः मामकाः पाण्डवाश्चैव किमकुर्वत सञ्जय सञ्जय उवाच दृष्ट्वा तु पाण्डवानीकम् व्यूढं दुर्योधनस्तदा आचार्यमुपसंगम्य राजा वचनमब्रवीत्. Sanjaya Uvacha. Now, after Dhritarashtra asked this question, he was silent and Sanjaya replied. He said, where did he begin from? Very, very interesting. If you have to catch the attention of the listener, where do you begin? You can't just talk what you want to say. Because if you start saying what you want to say, the person is lost completely. No interest. In business pitches also, pitch means when we speak to people, talk about some subject matter. It is said there's something called an elevator pitch. Means in an elevator, when you are with somebody and you want to communicate something, some ideas you want to communicate and make sure that that person gets it. It is said that you have just 45 seconds, sometimes lesser than that. So within that time, you have to be effectively able to communicate. So how do you begin? How do you present? The opening statement makes a lot of impact. So if it is a right opening statement, immediately you get the attention of the listeners. Otherwise, lost. Now here, Sanjay teaches us how to do that. If we open our conversation with something that is dear to the person, something that the person is interested in, something that the person values, then we get the attention immediately. Then that person doesn't mind listening to us for a little longer. I still remember there was a monk who was sharing his experience. Somewhere in the Middle East countries, I think it was Saudi Arabia or somewhere, the king of that place, a few years ago this happened. This monk had been to that place and the sheikh was to pass by and he wanted, his idea was that if there is a temple here, then the local community will be able to benefit out of it. But then you need the permission. And there was this king who was just going to pass by and they were all standing there. So he inquired, how much time will I get to speak to him? So they said, as long as a handshake. So maybe 10 seconds. That's all you have. If you can do something within those 10 seconds, it's up to you. Very interesting. He said this. It was a success story he was sharing. He said that as soon as I met that man, when we were shaking hands, I said, we both have two things in common. We both. I am a sheikh. You are a Hindu monk. What common? And that too, two things. What could that be? He was intrigued. That's all he said. I said, what? He stopped. So he said, both of us are unmarried. And second, he said, we both studied in the same university, some Oxford or something. Both of them had studied. So we studied in the same university. So he said, oh, you are an alumni. Oh, good. Friendship happened. He took him inside and they had a nice half an hour chat. Just one handshake length of talk, he got the attention. Now, the interesting point is, we also have various occasions when we want to communicate. And it is not only professional communication we are talking about. It is not, we are not talking about like, bigger communications, even small communications like that in our family. No, we say that no, there is generation gap. What is this generation gap? Are we able to open a conversation with something that the other person is maybe interested in, or maybe values, or maybe something that the person relates to? Or is it something that is so far fetched that that person said, okay, started now again? Our own children, so the communication has to happen. So here Sanjay teaches us that art so beautiful. What did Dhritarashtra ask? Mamakaha Pandavaschaiva Kimakurvata. My own children and Pandu's children, what did they do having reached there? Okay. So now, where would Sanjay begin? He began with, let me tell you about your son only first. Why? Because I want your attention. So the first thing he said, Duryodhanaha. Immediately, all attention of Dhritarashtra. Tell me, tell me. What did he do? What did my dear Duryodhan do? Full attention. What did he do? And that too, he didn't say just to Duryodhan. He said Raja Duryodhan. That right now you have made him the crown prince. So you consider him to be the next king. So that King Duryodhana. So he is using the word King Duryodhana. Oh, immediate attention. So starting with that. And as soon as Sanjaya began with that, having got Dhritarashtra's attention, he said, Duryodhana standing there at his position was facing the Pandava army. And when he looked at the magnitude of this army, Drishtva tu Pandava Anikam. Anikam means army. So Pandava Anikam, the Pandavas' army, having witnessed, having seen the entire expanse of the army, Vyudham. Vyudham means very well organized in formations. So battle formations. Even now, there are these formations we work with. In those days also, we had all different types of formations. The very, very famous formation that many people know of, and that too because we have heard about it in Mahabharata, not that that only is there mentioned in the Mahabharata, and that is Chakra Vyuha, the formation of a chakra, a discus or a circle. But there are so many different other formations. So, arrayed in very organized formations, having seen this huge Pandava army, we have already seen the size of the Pandava army was 7 Akshauhinis. The Kaurava army was 11 Akshauhini. And Akshauhini is a unit of army, and we have seen also earlier about 27,000 soldiers on chariots, same number of soldiers on elephants, and about 65,000 soldiers on horsebacks, and 100,000 foot soldiers. So all put together. So approximately 200,000, 2 lakhs, approximate number of these soldiers. That is called one Akshauhini, one unit. So such 7 Akshauhinis were there on the Pandavas side and 11 on the Kauravas side. Total 18. So Duryodhana, when he saw this 7 Akshauhini huge army of the Pandavas, just imagine, we are witnessing what? 1.4 million people. with various weapons. And besides those people, there are animals, etc. also. Because if it's a chariot, there are minimum two horses, or maybe minimum one horse at least. So there are so many horses, there are so many elephants, all this. So not just people, but 1.5 million people plus so many other animals. And just if we imagine the sound, people can be asked to keep quiet. What will you do about animals? There will be noises. Everyone is carrying weapons, heavy weapons. So much of noise must be taking place. So many people around. It was an ocean of people. And that, when he saw, what would happen? When we see a large crowd somewhere, what happens to us? And we are not even in a battle situation also. Just like that, when we see crowds, what happens to us? There's this feeling of, what is this? So huge. Now he is in a battle situation and he is seeing so many people in the enemy army. He has his back towards his own army, so he's not able to see the magnitude of his own army. He knows it in the intellect, but he's not experiencing it directly. But what he's experiencing is the Pandava army. Having seen that, what he expected, Duryodhana expected that these five brothers will come. For just those five brothers, he gathered 11 Akshauhini Sena. Okay? These five, and maybe not even chariots, they will come on foot with one weapon in their hand. Arjun with a bow and arrow, and Bhima with a mace, and then Yudhishthira with a spear, and then these Nakul Sahadev with swords and all. So they will just come with their own weapons on foot, and then we will destroy them, battle is over, and we'll go back home. So maybe he was imagining something like that. And here he sees such a huge army, that too in a formation. It was intimidating experience. It was a shock. We'll see how Arjuna responds to a similar shock situation. But Arjuna has lots of differences, but then more or less the states of mind of Duryodhana and Arjuna here, as described in the Gita, are comparable. We'll see that when we reach Arjuna's description. But for now, Duryodhana, Drishtva, having seen, Drishtva tu Pandavanikam Yudham, Duryodhanastada, that Duryodhana, Raja Duryodhana, what did he do? Suddenly, when we face an intimidating situation, what do we do? What is our response? Often, especially children, suddenly children see something very scary, something huge. What will happen? They'll immediately run to the mother for protection. Now, if children, they will straight away run to the mother, embrace them. But if it is a teenager, they don't want to show that they are scared, but they are scared, and they will run to somebody where they feel safe, but they will not say directly that I've come to you to feel safe. So they'll go and they'll talk something which can be categorized as nonsense. They'll go and just blabber something. They will show as though they are very, very fearless, but it is the fear that's talking. That's what happens when we must all have observed within ourselves only. Whenever we are scared, sometimes, we are scared of dark. Any dark place and all, we are scared of. And if you have to go through that place and there's no choice, then what happens? No, we go through, there's no choice, so we have to go through that place. And we are very scared. What happens? I make noise. And as the fear degree increases, the decibels also increase. So the louder someone sings or hums means there is greater fear. So that's a typical behavior of a person who doesn't want to acknowledge the fear but wants a safe place, runs. Duryodhana is in that state. So what has he done? दृष्ट्वा तु पांडवानीकं व्यूढ़ं दुर्योधनस्तदा आचार्यम उपसंगम्य going near आचार्यम his own teacher, the teacher of warfare, that is Dronacharya. He went close to Dronacharya. Acharyam upasangamya, having gone close to Dronacharya, Raja, this king, is scared now, out of his wits, but now he is speaking as though he is a king. Raja Vachanamabra is going and speaking something. So Puja Gurudev describes this as a child runs to his mother to feel safe. Duryodhan has run because mother is not available there. On the battlefield, teacher is there. Teacher is equivalent to father, mother, everyone. So he runs to the teacher. But if that running to the teacher is with humility, then the teacher can at least help. But here, that humility is not there. It's sheer arrogance. Raja, the king, is going there and speaking. But he has gone there for another purpose. So there is this internal conflict. How many times we do this? We go to someone for the real reason which is inside, that's totally different. But our behavior is completely different. What we show is completely different. And it's not cheating. We are not doing it because we are not even aware that we are doing this. It's not cheating. It's just that we don't know better. So we've gone there. So here, Raja Vachanam Abravit. So we will see there's some points in this verse also, and then further. Very interesting. Now it is first Duryodhana's description. In any movie, the very first scene doesn't have hero's entry. First, all side characters will come. Finally, the hero's entry will happen. That will take some time. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om.